Hello and welcome to Siksha. This is class 9 science part 7 and we are continuing with the chapter the fundamental unit of life which falls under biology class. So this is our class overview. First we will be discussing about vacuoles. Okay, this is the last cell organelle that we will be discussing in our class 9. Although there are many more, but for class 9 vacuoles will be our last cell organelle that we are going to discuss. Then we will be discussing two more topics which are very important, okay, which is prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. We'll be discussing the differences and the similarities, and then plant cells and animal cells, both the differences and the similarities. So let us start our today's class with vacuoles, that is our last cell organelle to be discussed for class 9. So what are vacuoles? Vacuoles are they are like a bag, okay. They are storage bags, or we can say that they are storage sacks. So what are vacuoles? Vacuoles are storage sacks. Since they are storage sacks, meaning they are used for storage purposes. We will use them for storing things. But what things are we going to store in vacuoles? Vacuoles are used for storing mainly solids or liquid content. Solids or liquid content, they are all stored in vacuoles and they are storage sacks. That is their major function is storage purposes. Now vacuoles are present both in plant cells and in animal cells. They are present in both animal and in plant cells along with unicellular organisms. See, here we have a plant cell and an animal cell. This is our animal cell and this is our plant cell. In both of these we will be able to find vacuoles. Here we can see that this is one vacuole over here, and in plant cell as well we will be able to see small vacuoles as well as a big central vacuole. Okay, let us first understand that what are prokaryotic cells, what are eukaryotic cells. So let us break down the words first. Prokaryotic, pro meaning before, and prokaryotic translates to before nucleus. Eukaryotic, eu means good, and the word eukaryotic translates to good nucleus. Okay, so what are prokaryotic cells? They are before nucleus, so they are old cells, they are primitive cells, they are simple cells. Okay. And what are eukaryotic cells? Eukaryotic cells, they are good nucleus cells. They are new cells. They are more complex than prokaryotic. They are newer versions of the prokaryotic cells. Okay, so this is the most simplest way in which we can define what are prokaryotic cells, what are eukaryotic cells. Prokaryotic cells are old cells, primitive cells, and eukaryotic cells are good and new cells. Okay, now let us look at its differences. Again, this cell is prokaryotic cell. The organisms which will have the prokaryotic cells, they are known as prokaryotes. And the cell is known as eukaryotic cell. But the organisms which will have eukaryotic cells are known as eukaryotes. Okay, are you clear with that? So, prokaryotes, all prokaryotes are unicellular organisms. All prokaryotes are unicellular organisms, meaning they will only have one cell. But not all unicellular organisms are prokaryotes, because eukaryotes may be both unicellular and multicellular. So our first point of difference is that prokaryotic cells, prokaryotes, all prokaryotes are unicellular, but eukaryotes may be unicellular and multicellular. Number 2, we have prokaryotic cells. Most of the prokaryotic cells, they have a cell wall. Most of the prokaryotic cells, I am saying most, not all, most of the prokaryotic cells, they will have a cell wall. But in terms of eukaryotic cells, not all eukaryotic cells will have a cell wall. Eukaryotic cells like plant and fungi will have a cell wall, but other cells like animal cells, they will not have a cell wall. See, plant and fungi have cell wall, but animal cells do not have a cell wall. Our third point is that prokaryotic cells are small and eukaryotic cells are comparatively larger. Prokaryotic are smaller. How small? Okay, to what extent? So, they are 1 to 10 micrometer small. The range, the size ranges from 1 to 10 micrometer. And eukaryotic cells, they may be from 5 to 100. They may be from 5 to 100 micrometer. Okay, and for this micrometer, 1 micrometer is equal to 10 to the power minus 6 meter. So remember this as well. Okay, so prokaryotic cells are smaller, eukaryotic cells are larger as compared to prokaryotic cells. Number 4, we have prokaryotic cells are simple. Since they are old cells, okay, since they are primitive cells, so these cells are simple, okay, they are simpler as compared to eukaryotic cells. So we can say that eukaryotic cells are complex cells. They are not simple, they are complex cells. Now, what do we mean by simple and complex cells? We will learn that in the last two points. Okay. Number 5, we have prokaryotic cells do not have a fixed nucleus. Okay, they do not have a. I think it will be wrong to say that they do not have a nucleus. They do have a nucleus, but they do not have a well-defined nucleus. They will have a nucleoid region. They will not have a well-defined nucleus. They will not have a membrane-bound nucleus. So they do have a region where the nuclear content is present, but they do not have a well-defined nucleus. And the eukaryotic cell will have a well-defined nucleus with a proper nuclear membrane and everything. Okay. So, prokaryotic cell, they have no proper nucleus. They do have nuclear content, but no proper nucleus. And eukaryotic cell will have a proper nucleus with the proper nuclear content. And number 6, we have prokaryotic cells. They have no membrane-bound cell organelles. They do not have membrane-bound cell organelles. And eukaryotic cells, they have membrane-bound cell organelles. Okay, so these are 6 points of difference between prokaryotes and eukaryotic cells. If you are writing notes, then I will give you a moment to copy this. Okay, so are you done? So this is all about the differences. Let us move on towards the similarities. What are the similarities between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells? Similarities. Both prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells have cytoplasm. Both will have cytoplasm. Okay, they both will have cell membrane. Both the cells will have cell membrane. Okay, some may have cell wall. Okay, mostly the prokaryotic cells have cell wall, and under eukaryotic cells, the plants and fungi, they will have cell wall and the animals will not. But all of these, both prokaryotic and eukaryotic, they both will have cell membrane. Then number 3, we have both prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, they will have DNA. DNA, which is the genetic material of the cell. So what is DNA? They are the genetic material. DNA. So both prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells will have DNA. And then number 4, they will have ribosomes. And once you hear ribosomes, the protein should automatically come to your mind, since they have their own ribosomes. Since both prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells have ribosomes, so they are also able to make their own proteins. Are you clear with that? So these are the 4 similarities, although we can find more, but for class 9, let us keep it to 4 similarities. This is all about prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, and questions are put up directly. Okay, in the questions, they directly ask that what are the difference between the two, or what are the similarities between the two. Now let us move on towards animal cell versus plant cell, or plant cell versus animal cell. So next topic, we have plant cell versus animal cells, meaning the differences. Plant cell and animal cell, we have already discussed a lot about them. When we were discussing the cell organelles, there also we have discussed few differences and few similarities. So let us look in detail that what are those differences or what are those similarities. So plant cells and animal cells. Plant cells are comparatively larger in size as compared to animal cells. So we can say that plant cells are larger and animal cells are smaller. And with whom are we comparing? Plant cells are larger as compared to animal cells, and animal cells are smaller as compared to plant cells. This is the general difference. But we must not forget that animal cells, the eggs, okay, the egg cell is the largest cell. Okay, so although in general animal cells are smaller than plant cell, but egg cell is the largest cell. In fact, the ostrich egg is the largest cell. Okay, so although we are writing smaller, do not forget the exception, the ostrich egg, that is the largest cell. Number 2, plant cells, they have cell wall. Cell wall is present in plant cell. All plant cells have cell wall. Here animal cells, they do not have cell wall. We have already discussed cell wall. Cell wall, they are made of cellulose. They give support, they give rigidity to the cell. Why? And they always give, and they also give protection to the plant cell. Why do plant cells need protection? Because they cannot move around from place to place just like animals. They are stuck to one place, so hence they need mechanical support. They need protection, and this protection is provided by cell wall, which is made of cellulose. Number 3, plant cells. Plastids are present in plant cells, but we will not be finding plastids in animal cells. Plastids, I think in our previous class only we have discussed what is plastids. Yes, plastids. Under plastids we have also discussed chloroplast, which contains chlorophyll, the green colored pigment, and this green color pigment is very useful for the process of photosynthesis, which is the food making process for plants. So we will find plastids in plants, but we will not find plastids in animals. Number 4, we have peripheral nucleus in plant cells. Peripheral meaning sideways. Peripheral meaning sideways. The nucleus in plant cells, they are present in the side. Okay, why they are present in the side? We will get to know that in our last point. Okay. Let me just tell you why it is present in this side. So number 4, the nucleus is sideways. It is in the peripheral region of this cell. Why are they there? Because plant cells have large central vacuoles. We have already discussed that vacuoles, they are so large in plant cells that they can occupy almost 50 to 90% of the cell volume. Since they are occupying such large portion of the cell, that is why the nucleus is pushed towards the side. Okay, so they have peripheral nucleus. Why do they have peripheral nucleus? Because they have big central vacuoles which cover up almost 90% of the cell. That is why the nucleus is pushed towards the side. Here animal cells, the nucleus are central. The nucleus are centrally located. We will always find the nucleus in the central region of the cell. And number 5, we have the vacuoles of animal cells. They have multiple vacuoles, but these vacuoles are small vacuoles. They do not have a big large central vacuole. They have many small vacuoles. Okay, so these are 5 points of differences between plant cells and animal cells. If you are making notes, you can take a moment to copy the notes. Okay. So now let us move on towards the similarities. Although there are many differences between plant cells and animal cells, there are many similarities as well. So let us look into the similarities. Similarities of plant cells and animal cells. Both plant cell and animal cells have, number 1, cell membrane. Plant cells have cell wall in addition to cell membrane, but it is not that they will only have a cell wall. They have cell membrane, and outside of the cell membrane they will have a cell wall, but they do have a cell membrane. Same animal cells also have cell membrane. So we can say that both plant cell and animal cell, what do they have? They have cell membrane. Number 2, membrane bound cell organelles. Both plant cells and animal cells, they have membrane bound cell organelles. They have cell organelles, and all the cell organelles, they are bounded by membrane. Number 3, cytoplasm. Cytoplasm. Both plant and animal cells, they will have cytoplasm. What is the cytoplasm? The fluid content of the cell. So both will have cytoplasm, and in that cytoplasm we will find organelles floating around. Number 4, both plant cell and animal cell will have nucleus, but the difference is that the nucleus in plant cells are pushed towards the side, but the nucleus in animal cells are mainly centrally located, but both will have nucleus. Both plant cell and animal cells have mitochondria. What is mitochondria? The powerhouse of the cell. Without the mitochondria, they will not get the power to perform, they will not get energy to perform their work. So both of them will have mitochondria. Both plant cell and animal cells have ER meaning endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, endoplasmic reticulum, both plant and animal cells will have this. And both plant cell and animal cell will have Golgi apparatus. Both plant and animal cells will have Golgi apparatus. So these are, although there are many similarities, but I have given you these 7 similarities of plant cells and animal cells. Okay, so we, in our class, what did we discuss? We discussed about vacuoles, we discussed about prokaryotic, eukaryotic cells, and lastly we have discussed about plant cells and animal cells. And this is all for the entire chapter. Today we have completed the entire chapter, the fundamental unit of life. This is the end of your chapter, the fundamental unit of life.